Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, 2 Kings chapter 20. If you'd like me to come speak to your church, or if you have any questions, you can send me an email, or you can just comment below. So, at the end of 18, which was 2 Bible studies ago, we talked about this king. It said, "Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hosea, king of Eliah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. 20 and 5 years old was he when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah." So you can see here on the map, Hosea was over there in the one kingdom, and Hezekiah's over here in the other kingdom. And he's one of the ones that were actually considered good in this kingdom. In fact, he said he was better, like the greatest of the kings over there, even better than some of his predecessors. And it says, "And so he did what was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. And he removed the high places, and he broke the images, and cut down the groves. And he brake into pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it, and he called it a thing of brass." Now you have to remember that there was good kings in this kingdom, but none of them ever took down the high places. None of them ever took down the idols. But this king decided this was a good idea. I'm going to serve God. I'm going to do it right this time. Because he trusted in the Lord of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor were any before him. For he clave to the Lord, and departed not from following him, but he kept his commandments which the Lord commanded Moses. And the Lord was with him, and he prospered whatsoever he went forth, and he rebelled against the kingdom of Assyria, and to serve him not. And we learned in chapter 19 that he actually fought against the king of Assyria. Actually, he didn't fight. God did it for him. Remember from chapter 18, Hezekiah was a good king, but he was attacked by his enemies anyways. And sometimes good people get attacked, and they have to build a wall, or sling a stone, or swing a sword to defend themselves. And there are a bunch of examples of this in the Bible. Nehemiah had been called of God to build a wall around the city to protect God's people from the enemy. I feel that God has called me to build a ministry to protect God's people from the crazy religion of evolution. Nehemiah didn't really have the resources to build the wall, so he told the people, build the wall in front of your house. And you had to actually have a sword in one hand and a trowel in the other hand, because at any time your enemies can come attack you. Here's a little bit about Nehemiah. The enemies of God tried to stop Nehemiah several different ways: mocking, discouraging the workers, threats, and even using force. And many have tried to stop my ministry in the same type of ways. Nehemiah had to defend himself. It says here in Nehemiah 4, "But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that the building of the wall, he was wroth. It took a great indignation and mocked the Jews. And he spoke before his brethren and the army of Samaria and said, What are these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end of in a day? Will they retrieve the stones out of the heaps of rubbish which were burned?" Now Tobit the Ammonite was with him, and he said, "Even which when they build, a fox will go up, and they shall break down their stone walls. Hear, O God, for we are displeased, and turn the reproach upon their own head, and give them for a prey the land of captivity." This guy was saying that, yeah, they might build a wall, but it's going to be so brittle that even a fox touching it is going to knock it down. "And cover not the iniquities, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee. For they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work." There's actually a great book by Charles Spurgeon. It's called The Sword and the Trowel. And it talks about how Nehemiah, he had to have a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other hand, because he had to build a wall, but he also had to protect it from bad people. Job's friends accused him of all sorts of sins for 35 chapters. He maintained his innocence and defended himself. And God made sure his story was in the world's best-selling book, the Bible. Job had to defend himself. This is Job 27. "Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, As God liveth, who has taken away my judgment, and the Almighty, who has vexed my soul? All the while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils. My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. God forbid that I should justify you till I die. I will not remove my integrity from me." He's saying, it doesn't matter what you guys say. I'm innocent. I didn't do anything wrong. My righteousness I hold fast, and my will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me so long as I live. Let mine enemies be as the wicked, as he that rises up against me is unrighteous. Do not he see me my ways, and count all my steps? For I have walked with vanity. If my foot have hastened to deceit, let me be weighed in even a balance, that God may know my integrity. He's saying, I know that I've done stuff wrong. If I've walked with vanity, God's going to see it. God's going to know what happened. God knows my heart. All throughout Job, he says, if I did this. Job's friends accused him and didn't believe his plea of innocence. Job 35:1 says, furthermore, Elihu answered and said, 4. Let us choose us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am righteous, and God has taken away my judgment. God vindicated Job. Look at Job 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Job 31:33. If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquities in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude? Or did my contempt of families terrify me, that I keep silent? And when I went out of the door, O that would hear me, behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, that as mine adversary had written a book. Proverbs 22 says, a good name was rather to be chosen than a great riches, and a living favor rather than silver and gold. Your name means everything. Do you have your integrity? Samuel challenged his critics to show where he was at fault. 1 Samuel 12 says, Samuel said to all of Israel, behold, I have hearkened unto your voice, and all that ye have said unto me, and I have made a king over you. And now, behold, the king walketh before you, for I am old and grey-headed, and behold, my sons are with you. And I have walked before you in my childhood to this day. Behold, here I am, witness against me before the Lord, and before his anointed. For whose oxen have I taken? From whose asses have I taken? From whom have I defrauded? From whom have I oppressed? Or for whose hands has I received any bribe or blind eye thereof? And I will restore to you. He's saying, find fault in me. Show me where I've done something wrong, and I'll repent of that. And they said, thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us. Neither hast thou taken aught of any man's hand. And he said unto them, the Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that I have not found aught at my hand. And they answered, he is witnessed. It was found that Jesus' primary response to false accusation in 6 ways: by asking questions, by sharing parables, analogies, or maxims, by giving strong words of condemnation or affirmation, by referring to the scriptures, by withdrawing from the accusers, or by just keeping silent. People mocked the new Christians on the day of Pentecost, and they obeyed God. Acts 2:13 says, others mockingly said, these men are full of new wine. They thought these guys were drunk. Peter defended the disciples. Acts 2:14. But Peter, standing up with the 11, lifted up his voice and said unto them, ye men of Judea, and all that ye dwell in Jerusalem, be this known unto you, and hearken to my words. For these are not drunken, as ye suppose, seeing it is the 3rd hour of the day. Paul was falsely accused in Acts 24 of doing evil and breaking the law. It says in Acts 24:5, for we have found this man a pestilent fellow, a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes, who also has got up to profane the temple, whom we have judged according to our law. Then Paul, after all the governor had beckoned him to speak, answered, for as much as I know that I have been many years a judge unto this nation, I do the more cheerfully answer for myself, because that thou may understand that there are yet about 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem for to worship. And they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, neither raising up the people, neither in the synagogues nor in the city. Neither they can prove these things wherever they now accuse me. Samuel, Nehemiah, Job, Peter, Paul, and scores of others defended themselves when attacked. Nehemiah had to build a wall and hold a sword at the same time. If you look at the timeline of Israel, you can see here Hezekiah is right there. And right below there is Isaiah. He was one of the prophets of God. And you can see right here, here's Hezekiah. And if you look real closely, here's Hezekiah down here. And here's Isaiah right there. They reigned during the same time. Judah's last kings, you can see it was a very short period of time before they went into captivity. 2 Kings 20 and verse 1. In those days was Hezekiah sick to death. And the prophet Isaiah the son of Amos came to him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. And he turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord, saying. So Hezekiah was getting sick, and Isaiah came to him and said, You're going to die soon, get your house in order. I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I am walked before thee in truth and with perfect heart, and I have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Hezekiah does not pray, Lord, spare me, but Lord, remember me. Whether I live or die, let me be thine. God always hears the prayers of the broken in heart, and will give health, length of days, and temporal deliverances, as much and as long as are truly good for them. And it came to pass before Isaiah was gone out into the middle court, that the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Turn again and tell Hezekiah the captain of my people, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David the father, I have heard thy prayer, and I have seen thy tears, and behold, I will heal thee. On the third day thou shalt go up to the house of the Lord. And I would add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver there the city of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend the city for mine own sake, for my servant David's sake. And Isaiah said, Take lumps of figs. And they took and they laid it on the boil, and he recovered. And Hezekiah said unto Isaiah, What shall be the sign that the Lord will heal me, that I shall go up to the house of the Lord on the third day? And Isaiah said, The sign shall be that thou have the Lord, that the Lord will do the thing that has spoken. Shall the shadow go forward 10 degrees, or go backwards 10 degrees? And Hezekiah answered, It is a light thing for the shadow to go down 10 degrees. Nay, let the shadow return backwards 10 degrees. Have you ever heard of a sundial? The sundial takes the sun and casts a shadow, and that's how you know what time it is. Basically what happens is the sun goes through the sky and it casts a shadow, so you know exactly what time it is throughout the day. If you ever made one, it's really easy to do. Every 10 degrees is going to be another hour or thereabouts. See this little, it says right here, subtract an hour for the winter time. So you can see here on the clock what it says. So he said that I want the Saturday to go back at 10 degrees. Well, for the sundial to go back about 10 degrees, the earth had to reverse its spin and go back about 40 minutes. So the earth had to stop spinning, go the other way for 40 minutes, and then start all over again. And Isaiah the prophet cried unto the Lord, and he brought the shadow 10 degrees backwards, at which it had gone down the dial of Ahaz. Then spoke Joshua to the Lord in the days when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And so he said to the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gideon, and thou moon in the valley of Arjalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed up till the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? For the sun stood still in the midst of the heaven, and hasted not to go down for a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it. The Lord hearkened unto the voice of the man, for the Lord fought for Israel. And there was actually an article that says it solved the mystery of Joshua's long day and Hezekiah's sundial going back 10 degrees. And there's this big article talking about all the different things that can happen. And in Creation.com wrote an article, Has NASA discovered a missing day? And there was actually a book by a guy named Charles Toten. This is the story there was a story the computer had found a missing day, a proof that God stopped the world turning, so that Joshua could slay his enemies. This myth began all the way back in 1890, when Charles Toten published a book, Joshua's Long Day, and the Dial of Ahaz. So Charles Toten is listed who was who in America. Toten was a graduate of West Point and a professor of military science at Yale from 1889 to 1892, and he resigned to spend more time on his religious studies. And NASA actually found this lost day in time. It said NASA scientists did not find the missing day in time, and thereby proved biblical accounts to be true. So They couldn't find where this missing day was that proved that the Bible was true. 2 Kings 20:12. And at that time, Barostabaddan, the son of Badad, the king of Babylon, sent letters and presents to Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah hearkened to them, and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold, and the spices, and all the precious ointments, and all the house of his armor, and all that he has found in his treasures. And there was nothing in his house, nor in his domain, that Hezekiah showed him not. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, who said unto him, What say these men, and from whence they came unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They come from a far country, even from Babylon. And he said, What hast thou seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not shown them. And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord. 1 Timothy 6 verse 9 says, But they will be wretched and fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, in which some coveted after. They have erected from faith and pierced themselves through many sorrows. He's saying that because somebody sees something and they want it, sometimes they'll do some really foolish things to get it. 2 Kings 20 verse 17. Behold, thy days come, that all that is in thine house, and all that which their father had laid up in store to this day, shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. And thy sons and I shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget. Shall they take away, and shall they be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon? He's saying, you showed the Babylonians all these riches you had. Now they're going to want to take it from you. Then said Hezekiah to Isaiah, God is the word of the Lord which is spoken. And he said, Is it not good, his peace and truth be in these days? And the rest of the acts of Hezekiah and all of his might, and how he made a pool and a conduit and brought water to the city, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? You know, if Hezekiah had died and not lived an extra 25 years, wicked Manasseh would never have been born. He would not have shown the king of Babylon all of his riches. He wouldn't have displayed his idiot attitude of being happy as of his peace, even though his children and nation would suffer after he's gone. Well, guys, that's the video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, you can comment below, or you can email me. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. You know, tell your friends about it if they think you're interested. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, I'm going to put a couple links on the screen. The bottom right of the screen is going to have the 2 Kings Bible study. Top left of the screen is going to have the 1 Kings Bible study. And then the bottom left is going to be a video that YouTube thinks you're going to like. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.